Hey, my name is Madeline, and I've been vegan for 5 years. I don't remember the exact day that I went vegan, but it was middle of May in 2013. I was a senior in high school, and I had just started eating healthier about a year ago after 16 years of eating pretty much just junk food. And I remember thinking in this healthy living transition at the time that veganism was really dumb. I also didn't know anything about it, but that's just what I thought. So during my healthy living research, nutritional research and such, I came across this book called Skinny Bitch. Now it's a very short, quick read, and it's like an edgy way of talking about veganism. I had never really read this kind of information before, and honestly it came as a really big shock. It gives you this like no BS version of why veganism is the healthiest thing. It talks a lot about the environmental aspects and the cruelty aspects. The thing that really got me was they had actual accounts of ex-slaughterhouse workers talking about the torture that these animals were enduring. Not just like being slaughtered, but just being tortured like for fun by these really sick workers. Like just imagine the people that work in a slaughterhouse every day and being given this kind of power. It was just, I was in tears. I was bawling my eyes out. I couldn't even finish the book. I had to put it down and just like go and focus on my mental health because I was in a really weird state because I considered myself an animal lover. But how could I be an animal lover if I was eating meat and supporting this factory farming industry? And I had this really upsetting complex going on in my head, like, what do I do? Am I gonna go vegan? I don't wanna go vegan. That sounds like so much work. I was scared. But after realizing this information, I couldn't ignore it. The next day, I decided I'm gonna go vegan. I'm gonna give it my best shot. After learning this, I can't ignore it anymore. I couldn't ignore the facts. And the book had honestly laid it out in a pretty straightforward way about things to eat. It sounded like it wasn't that restrictive as I thought, and it was gonna be a lot healthier. So I said, I'm gonna do my best. And for the first year, I was mostly vegetarian as I slowly cut out things like eggs and milk and eventually cheese. And I think I had like 1 or 2 burgers throughout the year, but I didn't let that deter my progress. And now, 5 years later, I am in the best health ever. I have so much energy, my skin is so clear after suffering from really bad acne my whole life. I have amazing clarity in my head. I used to have a lot of brain fog, I'd get sick all the time, so many headaches, just lethargic and having a hard time sleeping, and a lot of digestion issues. And now all of that is gone. I'm so grateful that I finally discovered this and made the change because it has changed me in the most incredible ways. Even after the first few days of not eating meat, I felt this incredible lightness in my body, and that really inspired me to keep going. And now 5 years later, I'm vegan, gluten-free, sugar-free, and I haven't had alcohol in like 2 years. My energy, clarity, and my skin have never been better. I've learned so much about compassion and myself, and it feels amazing to be doing a great deal to help heal the environment. I've always wanted to share my vegan journey and tips that I've learned along the way in like a concise version, and I think after 5 years, I'm qualified to do that. So here we are. This is my 10 steps on going vegan video. These tips aren't just about food, but it involves a lot of lifestyle things as well, because veganism is a lifestyle change, but I promise you it is not as scary as you or I once thought it was. So let's get started. So the first step when you decide that you want to go vegan is to understand why you want to go vegan. There is no wrong answer. It's just going to give you something to fall back on when you're feeling unmotivated. There are many reasons why people want to go vegan. There are 3 main ones: for the environmental reasons, the compassion side, and also the health benefit. There are so many health benefits to going plant-based vegan. Eating all of that fruits and vegetables and grains and nuts and seeds is just incredible for your body. It's exactly what it needs, and you don't have any of those animal products slowing down your digestion. If there are any hereditary illnesses in your family, going plant-based vegan can greatly reduce your chances of getting these diseases later on in your life. I think the biggest one for me is probably the environmental impact. The amount of crops and resources, water and soy, whatever these animals are eating, there are so much being used just to create this one product. I mean, you need like 2,500 liters of water just to make one hamburger. That seems insane. You could not shower for 6 months or not eat one hamburger and save the same amount of water. All of those crops that are being fed to these massive land animals could be fed to humans that are in need, to poor, starving people in other countries. We are using like 1/3 of the land on Earth just to raise crops for animals that we eat. We could just be taking those crops and the land that the animals are on and be making so much more food for everybody. They're cutting down so much of the rainforest to make room for these crops and for this animal agriculture, and then it's just seeping into the oceans and it's destroying our oceans and the coral and all of the biodiversity in there. And not to mention the methane from the cows, which sounds funny, is actually contributing to global warming. There are just so many environmental concerns when it comes to animal agriculture, and that is a really great reason to be going vegan. So if that's the reason, it's a very great one. I also personally try to eat as local as I possibly can, trying to reduce my footprint as much as possible, also like taking public transit and reducing your plastics and one-use things that can help with the environmental stuff as well. But going vegan is probably one of the #1 things you can do to help with the environmental concern. And then the last benefit is the compassion side. I'm not necessarily against meat itself. I understand that there are indigenous cultures around the world that live off the land and go out and hunt. My boyfriend's good friend hunts up north in British Columbia, and it's the only meat he eats, and he hunts with a bow. And I can respect that for sure, because it's a sustainable way of getting protein when you are isolated in those kind of areas. So I understand that cutting out meat, the world is never going to go vegan. I understand that. But factory farming is something that can be completely eradicated, because it's just a useless industry that is causing so much harm and damage. It sees these lives as a unit number. It just puts a number on a soul and raises it to die. It's an awful and disgusting practice. And like I said, there's so much torture that goes on inside of them. It's just awful. They're cramped in these tight spaces, and they're full of disease, and they're terrified when they die, and all that adrenaline is being released into the meat just before they die. And that's the kind of meat that we're eating, finding in grocery stores and at fast food chains. No wonder why we're so angry. We're eating this emotion, and it's causing us to just become outraged. So I'm not against meat, I'm against factory farming. The compassion side is huge for me. There are so many ways to understand these different benefits: by doing your research, by going to an animal sanctuary and playing with these beautiful creatures, or just watching different documentaries about environmental concerns like Cowspiracy. So understand why you want to go vegan. Like I said, there are no wrong answers. It's just going to give you something to fall back on when you're feeling unmotivated. Now, while you're already on the internet, the second step is to do your research. Keep digging into the vegan research. I will note that there is a lot of information out there, so try to make sure you're reading from a reputable source. Like, if you're reading something you're a little bit skeptical about, maybe just Google that topic itself and see if other things come up to prove or disprove it. But all of the links that I have listed down below are reputable sources, so it's probably a great place to start. There is tons of nutritional vegan information out there that is really important to learn. There is a lot of stuff to learn, so take it day by day. Just when you have a little bit of free time or you're on the train commuting, just pull it up on your phone and check out some of the resources. For example, there are a couple different types of vegans. We're not all just super plant-based eating nerds. There are raw vegans who primarily only eat raw foods. This is a great thing for healing illnesses or sicknesses, diseases, but I personally think that eating cooked meals in the evening is really great for your digestive cycle. Then there's the junk food vegans who don't really care too much about the nutritional side. They just really want the environmental and the compassion benefits, so there is tons of vegan junk food out there. You can just be eating French fries and sodas and cookies and chips and pastries, like so much vegan junk food out there. I will be touching on that in another point. And then the last is a plant-based vegan, which is where you're primarily just eating plants. This is the healthiest vegan, where you're not really eating a lot of processed foods. Actually, you're trying to avoid processed foods altogether. But again, you can kind of pick and choose. I personally find myself to be like 90% plant-based and 10% junk food, because I like to indulge every once in a while, and there's no harm in that. When you're eating 90% plant-based vegan food, you're doing pretty good at that point. It's also good to know more about the specific reasons why you want to go vegan. Just have a couple of facts in your back pocket so that if someone asks you why, you can give them a solid answer. When you tell someone that you're vegan, they're going to ask you a lot of questions or give you a statement as to why they can't go vegan. After a while, you're probably going to hear every single excuse in the book, and you'll be able to come up with your own responses to these excuses that resonate with you. This is all helped by doing your research about these different vegan benefits and the different topics about the environmental animal health concerns. I know a lot of people that think being vegan means that you're weak. Not bad. Have you pressed on that? Vegans are definitely not weak. The largest, strongest land mammals on Earth are vegans. Rhinoceroses and gorillas and even cows are vegans. The protein that these people are getting from animals, the animal is getting from plants. So being vegan, you're just cutting out the middleman. If you're still skeptical, Google vegan bodybuilding or search the hashtag vegan bodybuilding on Instagram. You will be shocked at how incredible and muscular these people look. And the thing with veganism is that it helps you to define your muscles way more, so these people just look ripped. Being vegan is a huge step in the right direction, but it makes even more of an impact when you have some of these facts and knowledge in your back pocket, so you can become a shining example for people and educate them as you go along. You're going to encounter a lot of skepticism, but I promise you that it's going to get easier every single day. Now, the third step involves going to your grocery store and making simple switches. This part is very straightforward because most of the vegan versions are right beside the regular versions. Buying vegan butter instead of regular butter, plant milk instead of pus milk, vegan ice cream versus regular ice cream. All of the options are going to be right there beside the regular versions. Also load up on bulk grains like quinoa and rice, and even dried beans are really inexpensive ways to get protein, and also lots of fresh produce that you enjoy. If you don't have a lot of spices to start out, I recommend salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, and cumin. And getting some type of soy sauce. The brand Bragg's is really incredible. I add that to anything. I just chop up some tofu, fry it in a pan with some Bragg's, and you have a very delicious thing to throw on top of a salad or in a stir fry or something. Every grocery store nowadays is having a vegan section or a specialty food section. You're gonna find tons of vegan products in here, but I do recommend, even if something says vegan or gluten-free or whatever on the label, definitely just try to get in the habit of reading the ingredients. Even if you're not super conscious of nutritional value, it's just good to know what you're putting in your body, so you know if something has tons of sugar, so you're gonna maybe eat it once in a while, but try not to eat it every single day. It's just really important to know what you're putting into your body. The grocery store is one of my favorite places to go. Give yourself a good amount of time when you don't have to rush and just walk up and down every single aisle, see all of the different grains and spices and sauces and snacks and cookies. Just, there's so much out there at a grocery store that is vegan, sometimes accidentally vegan, and you're gonna find a lot of products that you're gonna fall in love with. I will have a lot of links to resources down below. I do live in Canada, so it might be a little bit different, but I do travel to the States like once every few months to stock up on some of those brands because they're amazing. Trust me, if you live close to a border, like a Whole Foods not too far away from the border where you live, I highly recommend going there if you live in Canada. Now, my fourth tip for why you're still at the grocery store is to try some vegan junk food. Coming from a nutritionally inclined person like myself, it may not be the most obvious tip, but trust me when I say trying out different vegan junk foods will make you realize that you're not going to be depriving yourself and that there are so many options out there. Eating a delicious, sugary vegan treat just makes you feel a lot more confident in the direction you're about to go, knowing that you're not going to be deprived of sugar and sweets and enjoyable food for the rest of your life. I promise you, there is so much amazing stuff out there, and surprisingly, there is so much vegan junk food that's accidentally vegan, like Oreos or some Doritos, different chips and crackers and cookies and pies and pastries. There is so much vegan junk food out there. Like I said, there are people who are junk food vegans and they primarily just live off this stuff, and at some points I find myself to be a junk food vegan, but maybe just for like a day or two or like on a cheat day, and then I go back to trying to eat as many plants as I possibly can. But my advice is when you are transitioning to being vegan, don't try to become a perfect vegan right away. Don't try to become a nutritionally perfect vegan in part of the transition as well. My advice is whatever nutritional level you're at, just try to transition to veganism on that same nutritional level, and then as you progress, you can kind of increase your nutritional content. For example, when I went vegan, I was eating pretty healthy, but I did indulge in junk food every once in a while. So I didn't try to cut out junk food entirely, I just started to eat healthy vegan food most of the time and vegan junk food occasionally. So I just basically did the exact same thing but made it vegan. So if you're eating lots of junk food, then just start off by eating lots of vegan junk food and slowly start to build up the nutritional profile. If you're already eating super healthy, mainly plant-based already, then go for that. But it is really nice to indulge in some vegan junk food every once in a while. I must say, it's quite delicious stuff. And it feels so good to be eating something that is delicious and is causing no harm. I mean, maybe a little bit inside, but it is good for our body to have those toxins every once in a while to build up our resilience. So don't feel so bad about having some treats every once in a while. It actually is good for you. I suggest this because then you can see that veganism is not that scary and it can be absolutely delicious. A lot of grocery stores nowadays will have vegan versions of junk food, and there is a link down below for all of the accidentally vegan junk food that's out there as well. So go indulge and enjoy, but don't go crazy. So after you've explored the grocery store and gotten some things, it's good to determine what your favorite basic meal staples are. Things like rice or potatoes, avocados, nuts, sandwiches, salads, soups, smoothies, fruits. Just know what kinds of foods you really enjoy eating, and then it's going to be easier for you to find recipes based on those foods. So pick some generalized things that you just love eating. I love soups, or I love stews, or I love stir fries, or I love sandwiches, or oatmeals. Whatever you love, just figure out what that is, and then you can determine how to make that vegan. I don't cook a full recipe for every single meal. I maybe use a recipe like 10% of the time when I want to try something new, but most of the time I'm just eating pretty basic stuff that I've just kind of spiced up in my own personal ways. For example, a typical day of eating for me, I'll have overnight oats in the morning with like nuts and seeds and some blueberries and bananas. For lunch, I'll usually have like a big salad or 2 BLT sandwiches, yes, vegan BLTs. And then for dinner, I'll either like make a stew or a stir fry, or have leftover stew and stir fry maybe with like garlic toast or rice or some kind of grain. When I'm really pressed for time, I make really simple stuff. I'll always have cooked quinoa or cooked rice on hand, which by the way, both of them are very easy to make in a rice cooker. And then I'll just chop up some broccoli, put a little bit of water in the microwave with that so it steams it a bit, and then add the quinoa, heat it up some more, and then add some soy sauce, or I just call it Bragg's. And then you have this really delicious bowl of nutrition. It's super yummy, it's super easy. Another really quick one is just finding cans of soup that you like. I really like the Amy's brand, opening that up with some cooked rice, putting in the microwave, some salt and pepper, and there you go, a nice hearty meal. Sometimes I'll make a grilled cheese on the side when I do that and put like slices of tomato and avocado in it, with chow cheese and gluten-free bread. Oh, so good. Maybe I'll have that for dinner tonight. So just determining what your favorite basic meal staples are is going to help you a lot when you're in a pinch and you don't know what to eat. Keeping these ingredients on hand is going to save you so much time and so much effort, and then when you want to cook something nice and fancy, then you'll have a lot more energy. The next step is to veganize your favorite dishes. There are so many recipes out there for you to make a vegan version of your favorite comfort foods. So determine what your favorite comfort foods are and then try and find a recipe for that. Like mac and cheese, lasagna, tacos, stir fries, pastas, meatloaf, whatever you love, there is a vegan version of it and it will blow your mind. It's so easy to eat vegan when you're eating foods that are familiar to you and evoke certain memories. It just helps to really ingrain it in your head that this is normal and this is okay and this is sustainable for me. I hadn't had lasagna in so long, and just a few months ago my boyfriend made the most incredible vegan gluten-free lasagna for me, and I almost cried because honestly it felt so good to be eating something that was my absolute favorite food. He made it absolutely on point, by the way. He's a Red Seal chef, so I'm kind of lucky in that sense, but it was perfect, and it was amazing to eat this delicious food and not feel any guilt for my health or animals or the environment. It's such an incredibly overwhelming feeling. So again, below there are tons of links on how to veganize some of the classic foods that I just talked about. There are so many vegan replacements out there for mayo and milk and cheese and meats and sour creams, yogurts. There's even ways to substitute eggs in baking, like tons of ways to do that. I promise you, you're going to be able to eat your favorite foods again, and it's going to feel so good this time. Now the seventh step, once you've learned what your favorite meals are, you've gone to the grocery store, it's time to learn how to cook some very simple things, like learning how to cook rice or beans or lentils or a simple stir fry or even a taco night. Even learning how to make an easy, simple dessert can be really satisfying. Once you have a few things under your belt, it doesn't seem as intimidating to start cooking more things. Don't start with the hard stuff and let your discouragement keep you from learning how to cook further. Cooking is really easy. Turn on some tunes, grab a glass of wine or a vape pen, do what you gotta do, and enjoy cooking for yourself or a loved one. The fact that you can make this delicious, healthy meal tasting exactly how you want and you don't have to pay anyone or go anywhere to do this. Learning to season simple things can make a huge difference. Like you could literally just get a head of cauliflower and make like a dressing for it, like a kind of spicy buffalo dressing for it, chop it up, rub it in there and bake it, and you've got like cauliflower bites right there. It's so delicious. I always have soy sauce, liquid smoke, salt, pepper, cumin, paprika, chili powder, and then some kind of Mediterranean herb and salt on hand to just be able to just to be able to season anything I want and make plain vegetables into something delicious. Also, a fun thing to add to your kitchen is a small herb plant that grows your favorite herb like cilantro or dill or parsley. It's a really easy way to keep fresh herbs on hand, and it makes your kitchen a little bit more grown up too. This is my herb garden. It's called a tower garden, and it is probably the best investment I ever made because basically these things are just gonna get wild and huge, and I'm gonna have fresh cilantro and dill and basil and Swiss chard and spinach and lettuce on hand forever, basically. And it's totally self-sufficient. You just plug it in, you fill it up maybe once a month with water and nutrients, and then you have fresh stuff all the time. I'll leave a link for that down below as well. Now the next step is to go to vegan restaurants and support vegan companies. I will admit that some of these new vegan products are going to be more expensive in their infancy. That's just the way it works when you're starting a small business, but they need people like us to support them in this time so that the more we support them, the more we'll drive down the price and the more mainstream it's going to become. I understand people have budgets, so try to stick to your budget as best you can. Support things when you can, but don't feel obligated to if you're going to go in debt from it. That's obviously not worth it, but do what you can and enjoy all these really delicious specialty vegan products that are out there. And for the nights that you don't want to cook, go to a vegan restaurant or try the vegan option at one of your favorite restaurants and be amazed at what you can taste from plants. There is this amazing app website called Happy Cow, which has a global vegan restaurant directory, and not just vegan restaurants, but also vegetarian restaurants and restaurants that have vegan options. So go to the website, it is linked down below, and then you can find out which places are vegan or veg friendly in your area. It also does like stores and nutritional places as well. It's an amazing resource. I use it all the time when I'm traveling. If you are in the Vancouver area, my personal recommendations is going to Meat and Gastown for classic comfort foods, Virtuous Pie for amazing homemade cheeses and pizzas. They will blow your mind, I'm serious. And go to the Acorn for an amazing elevated veggie restaurant experience. It will blow your mind with their unique flavors. Snack break! I was really hungry, so I made the soup first, and then I was like, oh, I should make avocado toast. And then I made avocado toast with tomatoes and onions, just some salt and pepper on gluten-free bread. So I'm gonna eat like half of this because I'm going to an aerial yoga class right after this, so I'm trying to get it filmed pretty quick. So I'm gonna enjoy my snack, and then we'll go into the last two tips. Sounds good. So good. All right, we are back. Mads is satiated. And the next step, the 9th one, is eventually, after eating all the vegan junk food and everything, you are going to have to start to make sure that you are getting enough nutritionally. And I know that sounds extremely boring. Sweets can be a small part of your diet, but you do need to make sure when you're going vegan and cutting out these animal products that yes, they do have high amounts of some nutrients. They also have a lot of saturated fat and cholesterol and a lot of other negative things. So now you just have to make sure that you're getting the same amount, but in the plant version. There are lots of minerals and proteins in things like grains, and a good rule of thumb is to try to eat one color of fruits and vegetables per day. So that would be like tomatoes, carrots, lemon, avocados, blueberry, and purple cabbage. You could make a really nice salad with those and then throw the blueberries in an oatmeal. A really easy way to make sure you're getting enough nutritionally is to meal plan. Down below I've linked a worksheet that I've created that'll help you meal plan for a couple of days and then break that down into a grocery list that's easy to shop with. The main things that vegans should try to focus on getting is iron, which is found in abundance in lots of plant foods like pumpkin seeds and poppy seeds. Also B12, which a lot of vegans supplement. And there's nothing wrong with that because actually the B12 in the animal products is being supplemented into the animal's diet. So again, you're just taking out that middleman and taking the supplement directly. You can also find B12 in certain fortified milks and cereals, also nutritional yeast and spirulina, but I do recommend getting a supplement. I personally get a B12 shot like in my hip every 3 months or so. And lastly, calcium, which can be found in abundance in greens like kale and broccoli, and foods like soy products and rice items. I also recommend eating a handful of nuts like almonds, walnuts, and Brazil nuts every day. There's so much essential vitamins and minerals and proteins in these nuts. You're going to be getting a lot of good healthy oils in that as well. Don't overindulge, maybe like a handful of nuts a day is a pretty good estimate. Try not to change your whole entire nutritional profile in one shot. This will become very overwhelming. Just try to focus on incorporating new foods into your diet every week and try to be eating in a variety of the rainbow. If you do feel like you're lacking something nutritionally, I highly recommend going to see a naturopath. I started working working with a naturopath about 2 years ago, and she's helped me heal every single thing that I've caused myself from my first 16 years of eating a lot of junk food. If you feel like there's something that you're missing, they can do blood tests on you, and then you can see exactly where all of your nutrient profiles are at, and then you can specifically target increasing certain ones rather than just guessing all the time. I highly recommend seeing a naturopath if you have any illnesses or any concerns about your body, the way you feel, if you're lethargic, if you get brain fog, bad digestion. Trust me, it is one of the best things I ever did, an amazing investment for your health. If you want to start eating more nutritionally, going to a naturopath is a great way to start, but it also can be done by reading books and doing research online, so don't get discouraged if you aren't able to afford going to a naturopath. But honestly, if you aren't, I would recommend saving up to go just doing a consultation or just doing one blood test. Like, it's not that expensive. The one I did was $75 for the initial blood test consultation, and then like $100 for the initial naturopath consultation. And then as I follow up every like 6 months or so, it's like $15 for the blood test and then like $75 for the naturopath. So really, really actually affordable. And the last 10th step of transitioning into a vegan lifestyle, once you've got all your cooking and nutrition and food and research down, is time to get out and glow. Now that you have all this newfound energy, go out and use it. Go into nature, go on hikes, go embrace the vegan community and support vegan causes. Go out and live your best life. Once you adjust to the vegan lifestyle, you will wish that you had done it sooner. The lightness you feel, the instant connection with like-minded vegans, the amazing sensation of eating delicious food that is causing harm to none is something you experience every single day as a vegan. I'm so proud of you for getting to this point and something to keep you motivated, because I'm very proud of myself for making it 5 years as a vegan. And there's this really cool app online that tells you, based on how long you've been vegan, what your impact is. So I have been vegan, so it's called the vegancalculator.com. And I have been vegan for 5 years, 0 months. So I'm going to calculate, and it's going to tell me that I have saved 2,007,500 liters of water, 73 pounds of grains, 54,750 square feet of forest, 36,500 pounds of CO2, and 1,825 animal lives. That is a really incredible feeling. I'm so proud of you for getting to this point in the video. I'm so proud of you for deciding to go vegan. I am here for you if you have any questions at all about the lifestyle or recipes or anything in particular and specific to your lifestyle. I am here to answer questions. I love talking about veganism. I love inspiring people to go vegan. It's my goal in life, I think, is try to inspire as many people as I possibly can, and I hope maybe one day you'll take the same path as well. But for now, just focus on you. Focus on the next 30 days ahead of you. There are so many amazing links down below to help you get started in the vegan community. So just try it for yourself and see how you feel, and then get out and glow. I'm so proud of you guys. You got this. Honestly, you are going to thrive on this vegan diet. There's a couple things I want you to keep in mind as you go about this transition. Firstly, the most important thing is that it's okay not to be perfect. Like I said, I was vegetarian for like a year. I even had a burger or two in this transition to being vegan. It's okay not to be perfect. Do not let it discourage you. Just do the best you can with what you have. Also, there is a huge vegan community out there. Check your local Facebook group. I am part of Vancouver Vegans. I love the group. There's so much information that I gather from it. If you're a new vegan, please keep in mind that there are very strict vegans out there, so just be mindful of what you post. And if someone calls you out for something, just let them know that you're new, and hopefully they'll try not to scare you off of being vegan by trying to be perfect. Just be mindful of what you post, but these groups can be an incredible resource to help you gain a lot of friends. And remember that vegans come in all shapes and sizes. There are vegan NFL players and vegan Olympians, vegan athletes and comedians and actors and singers and billionaires and friends and family. There are so many vegans among us, and now you're one of us. So welcome to the club. I'm going to be making a couple more videos about veganism. If you want to get the environmental and health and compassion benefits, but you're not ready to go fully vegan, I'm going to make a video about that as well, so stay tuned for it later this summer. And also a very short 1-minute video that's going to be a little bit of a shocker, but I think it's going to be a really fun project. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any comments down below. There's tons of links in the description. I hope you enjoy. Have a good day. Bye!